This episode of Lenses and Lyrics is brought to you by Imagine, the AI post-production tool built for professional photographers. Whether you're culling hundreds of photos or editing full galleries, Imagine helps you get your time back by learning your style and handling the heavy lifting. That means less time behind the screen and more time doing what you love, like growing your business or rocking out with your band. Check them out at lenseslyrics.com/imagine. That's IMAGEN. Work smarter, not harder, with AI assistance and intelligent automation from Imagine. Welcome to Lenses and Lyrics, where music and photography collide. This podcast dives into the crossover world of photographers who are or were musicians, those whose passion for sound influenced the way they see through the lens. Connect with all things Lenses and Lyrics at lenseslyrics.com. I want to start out with talking about your history with music, because as I understand it, we have some similarity that we were both in a hardcore band.
Yes.
So tell me about that. What did that look like?
So I obviously, like many people who, especially where I grew up in like the Boston area. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there was all these big metalcore bands that were coming out of that area, from Converge, Unearth, to Bane, to all these bands that I grew up. I grew up listening to and going to their shows and, you know, knowing some of these people. And so I just loved it as a kid. Like, I thought it was like the coolest. It's funny because you think back on yourself and you're like, I was so hard. And then you were just like, no, I was like a total poser or whatever. Yeah. But what I really fell in love with was like just writing and performing. Mm-hmm. You know, less so like, I liked the scene. It was fun, but in hindsight, it never really was my thing. My thing was always just like, I want to make something. Yeah. You know, I just want to make something. And so I remember I went to school. I went to like a ministry school in Illinois. And when I'm at school, this guy calls me. He's like, hey, we're going on tour in June and we need a guitarist. And I used to play in bands in high school with this guy. And I was like, sure. So like they're doing the recording. They're sending me the stuff. I'm learning the music at school. I get home. We practice for 3 days and then we're on tour. And this tour was a disaster. We had this broken down old van and we tried to go around the country. It broke down 4 or 5 times. By the time we go from Massachusetts, loop all the way down, play in California. We're supposed to play like this show with like Me Without You or something in Albuquerque. And we can't make the show. The van breaks down. We've missed that show. Eventually we're like going to Texas for our shows. And then it just dies forever, dies for good. And we're just stuck in the middle of like West Texas, the desert, like 105 degrees. At one point we get picked up by like a flatbed because they're being nice to us. We're all sitting in the flatbed in the truck, like, and we eventually just have to rent a U-Haul truck, and we take a U-Haul truck we leave the van in Texas, take a U-Haul truck pulling our trailer from West Texas all the way back to Connecticut.
Oh, man.
And, you know, like, but in the middle of it, you know, we kept recording, kept playing stuff. We got some interest from like Solid State Records and, you know, some of these people. And, you know, got to play some cool shows. We never really were able to fully do what I wanted to do. But I remember, like, you know, we built recording studios. We did a lot of recording. That was what I ended up like really falling in love with, is making stuff in that environment, to the point where I would forget that people needed to hear it. I was like, for me, I enjoy doing this. And we had tons of different, like, we worked on like a Jimmy Eat World kind of power pop project. And we did a bunch of different things. But over time, like, obviously for me, it became like a thing where I was like, dang, I don't want to have to get a job though. like a real job, you know. I just wanted to be in the arts, and eventually, like, that's how it led me to videography. I always did videography too. Like, I always, since I was in high school, would make like stupid Monty Python skits and kind of like
that's fantastic,
just messing around with stuff. But and of course, when you're on tour, you're always playing with cameras because everybody needs like their photos. But I think like at one point, like that is what spurred me on is I was like, I just don't want to have to get a job.
Yeah, yeah. So the band that you're in, the music that you recorded.
It's called Holding Hannah, by the way.
Holding Hannah.
Yes.
And is that available for anybody to listen to, like on the spot?
I'm sure you can. Honestly, I think it's on pure volume.
Pure volume. Okay. All right. I'm going to look for it and try and put it in the show notes if I can.
Yeah, and then no, it's on Discogs. Like we have some people who have like tried to like. I had a guy reaching out a couple months ago. He was like, "Hey, I really liked your band, and can you send me their album and all these things?" Yeah, so you can listen to it. I mean, it's out there. At one point, I did vocals. At another point, I played guitar. Probably what you're going to find on there is I was playing guitar. So
cool. That's a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of similarities between the two of us, between the different bands that I was in, and I actually spent a lot of time in Boston. I went to Berklee College of Music for a little bit. Caven's one of my favorite bands ever. Got the satellite tattooed on my leg. And when we toured, the band that I was in that did touring, we decided not to go the van route, but instead we went the minivan route. So we had like a mom minivan hauling a trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I've done that tour. I was in a band when I was like 19 who did an East Coast tour in a minivan. The things you will make seats out of. Yeah,
yeah. I have totally slept on a floor in somebody's house somewhere, on a hardwood floor under an Oriental rug.
What is the grossest place you ever slept?
The grossest? Oh man. I think I slept in a bathtub once without the water in the bathtub, which wasn't necessarily like, it could have been grosser than it actually was if the person didn't clean well. But yeah, no, I think that's probably the grossest. So probably not too crazy. But I definitely think it helps you learn that you could sleep at just about anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a stomp group in school, so we went around and like did like stomp performances and like percussion stuff.
Yeah.
And we would just sleep in the van. They didn't even get us hotels. Like we would just, it's so funny when you think back on it. We just sleep in the van. I remember on tour one time, we go to this guy's house and they were like, he's, you know how it is. Like if you've never been involved in the punk and hardcore scene, it's very DIY. And like everywhere you go, like people are like, oh, come and sleep at my house. Like that's pretty much what you do.
Yeah.
Like you don't really go on hotels really at that level because there's no money. So we're going in, staying at this kid's house, and you don't question it. If they invite you, you just say yes. But a lot of times, you don't know what you're walking into. And I remember going to his house, and I was like, oh, dang. This is like a hoarder house, like a flop house, like with a bunch of like people who, you can tell everyone lives there, but everyone has their like part of the house. But all of them are hoarders of different things.
Right.
So everyone's hoarding. And at one point they're like, yeah, you could go sleep in this bed. And there's this like queen bed or king bed. So me and the guitar player go and sleep in the bed. Our bass player's like, I ain't sleeping in that house. Goes back to the van. He's like, that's disgusting. We're like, we don't want to be rude. So we go upstairs and then we're just like, this is so nasty. Don't touch the covers. Don't touch anything. We just lay on top of the bed and sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the morning.
I definitely grew up being the person that would invite bands to sleep in my house, even though like I would have to get permission from my parents.
Yes.
Do you remember the band River City High?
Oh yeah. I remember they'd reach out to me to book a show at a venue I ran in high school.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Their first ever show outside of Richmond, Virginia was a show in New Jersey. And it was close to my house. And I fell in love with the band immediately. They played with Midtown, who's also from New Jersey, in the town.
Saves the Day is like my favorite band ever. So.
Oh, yeah. Jersey has so many greats. It's incredible. But so River City High played this show. I invited them to stay at our house because they had a long stretch for the next show on their tour. And so my parents gave me permission. But the next morning, they're all walking around in their underwear. My parents are making them breakfast. It was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
The band Norma Jean?
Yeah.
Norma Jean used to come around a lot. And so they were like friends of ours, and they actually were like renamed their band at one of our houses. They used to be called Ludicrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like a Deftones kind of ripoff. But those guys are like, they used to have a mask in their van, like a box with like a cutout with a plastic over it, and it was for shooting fireworks off in the van.
What? That sounds safe.
They were not a safe band. At that point, especially too, like back in those days, they were like, I've never seen a band bleed more. So
yeah.
they were kind of like at the drive-in kind of performance.
Oh yeah. Oh, jumping all around, doing some crazy stunts on. Yeah, that's at the drive-in was also a band that was so much fun to watch live. So good.
Yes.
So, was there a defining moment that stood out in your life as a musician that you could share? Something that like just stands out above everything else?
You know, I think it's about like, man, I think about these silly moments that actually aren't that impactful, like, or they're not I feel like music, it's so like transcendent in that it's dealing with your soul more so than like your intellect. And so like when you're experiencing music, it's often inside of your own brain. And so like, I remember like, I don't know if this is the answer to your question, but like, and this isn't playing music, this is just how music has impacted me. And I remember like being in school and I had no money and I couldn't afford to buy new music, but I was really wanting new music. I was like needing new music. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And I remember going to, if you remember those old CD stations in like a Barnes and Noble or in like a Strawberries or wherever you would go, and they would have like 20 discs or whatever, and I remember going and clicking on Jimmy Eat World's Clarity album in a Starbucks in Illinois and listening to like the whole album standing there in the Starbucks. and thinking like, wow. Or like I remember buying Stay What You Are or Poison the Well, Tear from the Red.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I turned on Jane Doe and like that Concubine starts playing, you know, like I remember playing a show with Zayo one time that really, really like impacted me and not in always good ways, you know, and I'm not like trying to rip on people, but like kind of like, I feel like the more you get involved in certain industries, like you don't want to see how the sausage is made. Right. Like I think like it was more fun to me to not know the people that I play with now to the point where like I would like try to avoid it because it's like I love your music. I don't want to get to know you. Like that's so I love Caven so much, and I did have a bad experience with another musician that I won't share when I tried to photograph this person at a show, and it was just went over really bad and gave me a bitter taste, and I didn't listen to that person's music for a decade. And I love Caven so much, and I recently had an opportunity to potentially photograph Steve Brodsky and Adam, and I was like, I could contact them. I could schedule a photo shoot before they perform acoustic at this brewery here in New Jersey, and I didn't because I'm like, I don't want to ruin it. Like if I have a bad experience, it's going to ruin one of my favorite bands for me forever. You know, so I just went and enjoyed it, and that was it. But I think the ones that really impact me in terms of like what I chose to do with my life are the bad experiences. Like, and I don't mean that to be negative because I still love music the same way. Yeah. But I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. Is really what it is. Like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't think I can do this for a living. I'm not willing to do it. Yeah. Or I can't. Like, I remember playing a show and we had this guy, one of my band members, he had like a meltdown. And he, in the middle of a show, puts his guitar down and leaves. And I remember like thinking like in that moment, like if I have to deal with this crap for the rest of my life, I'm going to kill myself. Yeah. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be involved. And then like later in that same tour, like we're playing with these really big bands and they're talking about like how much they hate their drummer and how like the previous night they had a big fist fight. And then later in the week, I see they're a big local band. No, a big national band. And if I told you who they were, you'd be like, oh, those guys. I see the drummer at like a coffee shop. He comes and sits with us and he's talking. He's like, yeah, those guys, they literally left me in California. This is the second time I've heard a band leaving someone.
Yeah.
Because they had conflict. And I remember thinking like, I want to make art with people who this isn't the inevitability. Like it just seems inevitable. And maybe this is just my fatalist viewpoint, but it's like, it's for me, if I do something that's for my soul, I don't want anyone to be able to take it away from me. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think I kind of like like a lot of artists, I think in the wedding space where I am, photo and video specifically, are like, that's my art. That's my art. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's my business. Yeah. Like I already kind of had that journey that you did where I like made the decision to like, I'm not going to let my art be monetized in that way. Not that I have a problem with that, but for me, it was just hard to make the choices and sacrifices it would have taken to make it sustainable financially. And it's been easier for me with videography to make those kind of artistic compromises. And that's just for me.
Yeah. It's, I think we need to, there's people who have jobs and there's people who have jobs that they have because they absolutely love what they do. And I think that everybody has their own methods and their own reasons for doing what they do. For me, sort of similar, but also sort of different. I knew myself too well that if I focused on photography as my full-time job, I would hate the art of it, which I didn't want to do because I love it. So I always knew I wanted to be on this side of the business where I'm educating and doing community building and things like that, and podcasting and stuff, and doing the photography, taking on the client work on the side when I want to. And that way, like, it's that even balance of I'm staying in it, but it's not my only thing I need to focus on. So I can still love it. So I think.
Well, and isn't that like, that's the artist journey, I think, is like, how do you monetize? Like, I one thing I will say is at one point I was like, I want to be in the arts though. I do want a job in the arts. Mm-hmm. It's just like, this is just too personal to me, this little aspect of the arts. But I do want to make money in the arts. I don't want to do something else. I want to create things. But I like what I like about weddings is it's someone else's thing that I'm doing. Yeah. I'm not expressing myself. I'm expressing them. And there's an art to that as well. And I do feel like it's transcendent. It is meaningful. It is people. And I want to invest in the human race and help people thrive and all that. And so I feel good about it. Like, I don't feel it's a sellout or a compromise, but if it's like I'm writing a song, I'm writing my thoughts. Yeah. And I don't view, and I will say this, I would really challenge any artist in the photo video side to really consider if your photos and videos are your thoughts or if you're capturing someone else. And something else. Like, there's an externalization of the photo video world that is a little more comfortable to me than just like writing a poem or saying something that's on my heart. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I felt like it was easier for me. And honestly, and the other side is monetize. Like, when I was doing photo, when I was making like music, at one point we had this record. You know what? To answer your first question, this is the actual answer. We had a conversation with Solid State, and they were like, hey, we love you. We want to, like, they got our record. Somebody gave it to them, and they reached out, and they were like, we love you. Do you have any more songs like this?
They didn't want the rest. They only wanted that one style.
Yeah, and we were like, I mean, we can. And I remember, like, we wrote a bunch of new songs that, in hindsight, aren't as good. And I was like, that kind of sucked. like
yeah. I think, as all, everything changes as time goes by. It used to be, and I'm sure it still exists in the beginning, where you have to get signed, right? If that is what you're aiming for with a business, you have to have albums that is consistent of style wise, right? To get started.
Yeah.
But then
you gotta
now
give
we're
people
seeing
what they want.
Yeah, but now we're seeing bands like, who is it, Imagine Dragons, that like every album they put out is a different style of music, right?
Well, I think it's like the idea of like, and obviously they're not self-publishing, but I do think like the beauty of the modern decentralization of distribution specifically, and then people are often like, oh, it's decentralization of art. I'm like, art has never been decentralized. Do you think the people who are centralizing anything care about art? They don't give a crap about art. Yeah. Like the centralized, they care about money, but distribution had to be centralized.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't. So I do think it's, even like if you look at the pop artists that are coming out with like, not that I think it's that great, but Justin Bieber just released an album and it's bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, so
from
Beyonce
top to bottom.
Came out with a country album that doesn't sound like anything Beyonce would ever do.
Yeah, same and thing. It's like he was like, this is my music, and the record company, you know, he had like fired his agent and whatever, and they're like, what are they gonna do about it? Yeah. You just hit publish and it's out, and so it's like, does anyone even need these people anymore? And I think some of them, yeah, you do for these big tours and these big connections, but they're also like a little bit like record companies, like media, they're all running scared because they know like the second artists figure out, and I would say the same in the wedding industry with photo and video people who think they need wedding planners. Who needs who?
True.
The free marketing. It's like, anyway.
Are you still playing like today? Like do you still
I
pick
play
up
my
the
guitar. Yeah, I play like pretty much maybe not every day, but almost every day. I play my guitar. Yeah. And it's just, and I get to play, you know, I still like, I do a little teaching. I teach kids. I work with some high school kids and teach them guitar and stuff like that. So, and I've, you know, play with my kids, teach my kids. And I obviously listen to, in some ways, more music than ever.
I find when I want to get into the editing groove, I put on a playlist and just do it, right?
Video guys are very jealous of you guys, by the way.
Oh, I know. Well, hopefully soon Imagine will be able to help with that for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're listening to like, how many times can you listen to Ben Rector White Dress when you're doing an edit?
So let's talk about this connection between music and photography and videography for you. How has the background in music influenced the way that you connect with the people at these weddings that you're filming and doing the photos for, and how's that helped? Because on the music, it's people are people, right? And there's so many different types, especially in the music space, especially in the photography, videography space. The clients you get, you hope to get this sort of avatar of client, but it may not always happen. So how has that helped you to like manage it all, deal with it all, and the way that you do these connections?
I mean, the fact that most people in the company are musicians, and most of my staff.
That's great.
I don't know how it worked out, but it did.
Yeah.
And we actually have scored a couple people's wedding films. Okay, to answer your question with a specific story, the general answer is it is the number one difference in my company and what we do is that we have great taste in music and we know how to connect. People say they eat with their eyes, but I say they just eat. People eat with their senses, like multisensory, right? And so like people form connections based on like certain tribal lines, certain things where you're saying, I understand you, wink, wink, I get you, you know? And so kind of like if you can send a nostalgic vibe to go with the wedding, or you can send a party vibe, you know, whatever it is. But to answer your question specifically, like there was a wedding where the brothers of the bride performed a song that they wrote. And I think they had performed it previously. And they play guitar and they both sing. And to be honest, they're very good singers and the song is nice. It was a pretty song. They're not great players. They're okay. But it wasn't something I felt comfortable using to score a luxury wedding film. So we're like, how do we implement this? So we extracted their vocals and we built a sound bed that would eventually lead, and then we played our own music under their vocals. So this piece builds with like ambient kind of like explosions in the sky, kind of like shoegaze kind of vibes, and eventually it comes into more like singer-songwritery, acoustic-y. And then the brothers just appear on screen, on tempo, by the way, singing. And the couple's like, what the? Like, and it's like, to me, well, wedding filmmaking, that's what I do primarily, is wedding filmmaking. I do some commercial stuff, but wedding filmmaking is what I primarily do. And to me, wedding filmmaking is about like connecting with people's family culture and connecting with a couple's sensibility and taste. And such a big aspect of that is what they listen to. People's, maybe less so now. It's unfortunate. I think like when we were younger and our age, like the way you expressed your rebellion or your uniqueness was through music. Now it's through weird TikTok crap that I don't. Maybe I'm just being like boomerish about that, but I do think like there's less creative energy behind, I think, some of that stuff maybe than like actually being a little bit vulnerable and saying something like important, but I could be totally wrong. That being said, I think music still will always persist. And so we took this and we brought it. And I remember like the couple like crying and feeling more connected to the piece because we included their family in a song like that. And it just like really goes to say like, I think we think about music is like, oh, this is a thing for everyone. Like, oh, it's a good song. Everyone likes it. But I think like what this has done for me with weddings is like, no, this is a good song because you like it. Just you.
Yeah.
Like you're the only one who has to like it. Like we used to pick songs that no one had ever heard just because they would have, because we wanted the couple to have their song.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what you did and your team did for that couple is way, way above and beyond the task that any wedding filmmaker is contracted to do.
no. Yeah, and
you don't think so?
No, I agree with you.
Agree.
I mean, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, what a hell of a surprise for that couple. That is absolutely amazing that you went through that.
Yeah, I'll send you the film.
Effort isn't even just a word, like a word. That's a light word to use. Like that is a lot of work to do for that, right?
Well, I think it's like some of it is you are trying to flex.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're trying to show people like only I can do this.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to be unique in this space because I'm a big believer that everyone can do what everyone does, pretty much.
Yeah.
Not entirely, but there's very few things that only you can do.
Yeah.
Like, and trying to figure those things out in the arts is really challenging because like you're trying to bring an offering to the market that's unique where someone's willing to pay a premium for what you can do. You know, you see someone like John Dolan or whatever, when people try to do John Dolan, it sucks.
Yeah.
Mostly, not always, but John Dolan does John Dolan better than anyone else. And I think, so we tried to do that. And so in some ways, it's above and beyond. Another way you're trying, you know, there's selfish reasons, I think, why you go above and beyond. But the other side is like, it can get boring. You just want to do something fun that is like inspiring.
Yeah. That really is inspiring. Hopefully anybody who's listening to this, watching this, and if you do wedding films or anything, and you're combining that you're good at, whether it's music or not, or something else, it's so inspiring to be able to do that for your client. Just kudos. And
most people wouldn't appreciate, by the way. I wouldn't do that for most people, but most people wouldn't appreciate it. Like I've never done it before or since. I would like to do it, but it was like. And here's the thing, it's like we did it and I think the couple liked it, but they didn't like ever talk to me about it. They didn't ever call me and say, wow, thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. Like maybe they didn't even appreciate it, but I appreciated it.
Yeah. I would like to assume, not knowing them, right? I would like to assume that they probably noticed, but also like underlying, maybe they just noticed it, but it didn't. But you probably did it so well that it didn't stand out as like,
that is what the goal was. Yeah, and I will say, like, I have a difference in a lot of artists when it comes to weddings. Is I see this a lot, like, oh, I sent the work to someone, they didn't even reply. And then you'll see people commenting like, how rude. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if someone mows my lawn, I don't send them an email and say, great job mowing my lawn.
Right.
I just, if it's good, I don't say anything. The only time I ever talk to you is if I think it's bad.
Right.
So it's like, I say no news is good news when it comes to weddings.
Yeah, I agree. So I have two more questions for you. The first one is, are there any songs or album that really inspire you to just get more creative with everything that you're doing? I know that when you're actually at the wedding, you almost have no choice but to listen to what's there. I know some photographers put in heavy metal in their AirPods and just to drown out everything else. But like in general, to feel more creative, what do you listen to?
I feel the value right now is, my parents are getting older. Mm-hmm. And I think about like my dad's from Texas. Mm-hmm. And he's a very good musician. My mom's a very good musician too. My dad is a really good piano player. Like that style, Western style piano. He grew up in like that area. And so I think the older I get, like when I think about weddings, I think how do I connect with that feeling of nostalgia that people have? Because that is what people want out of a wedding film. They want nostalgia, and of course energy too. But that, like the hype stuff is just trend. I just go, whatever's trendy, whatever the dance party looks like, that inspires me. There is the visuals inspire the sound, and also the taste of the couple, like whatever is being played. And we're lucky enough to play with incredible, or to shoot alongside very incredible bands, so that helps. But I've been listening to Nick Shoulders a lot lately, Stephen Wilson Jr., singer-songwriter kind of music, Natalie Bergman. Mm-hmm. I'm really enjoying her music right now. I kind of really like that last Sleep Token album a lot. The new Deftones song, incredible. I don't know how those guys keep doing it, but they have an incredible new song. Love Knock Loose.
Nice.
Like Knocked Loose, dude. I remember listening to their the first time I heard, like they've been around and I kind of had kind of heard them, but not really I kind of committed to myself last year to start finding new music again because my life had been, ever since COVID, we went from 60 weddings to 120 weddings in 1 year. And then we did 230 and then 200 and then everything just got really not healthy. Mm-hmm. We were just surviving, trying to not lose our jobs.
Right.
And it kind of took that part of me away. But I think to your question, it was something that I've started to invest in again. And just kind of finding music that either inspired me or made me think about people I love or just made me feel something,
Yeah.
And, it's funny, music always comes back to nostalgia for so many of us. It's that 100%. Feeling of being vigorous and young and not giving a crap. Yeah. And it's people are like, oh, it's I was young. It's not that you were young. It's because you didn't know that you were going to have to compromise so much. Mm-hmm. When you were young, you thought the world was going to be what you wanted it to be. And I think that's a good thing. And it's also good to get mature and realize you have to play ball with people and you have to collaborate in the world that you live in. But I like that feeling of unbridled optimism that was when you were 18, 19, 20. When I listen to hardcore, that's what I think of.
Yeah. So I asked this question to my last guest for the last conversation I had on the podcast, and he came back and asked me what I listened to. And I have two playlists, only two playlists on my phone that are regulars. One is my creative, I call it Zen mode. And it's got things like the album Leaf and Tristeza and all these Saxon Shore, all these instrumental, Sigur Rós is in there, and so on. Then I have yard work. Yard work is literally when I'm mowing the lawn and doing all that stuff, right? And to get me pumped, it's pure nostalgia. It's my 90s, early 2000s, punk, hardcore mix.
What was your first show that you went to?
My first show ever was like a concert.
Without your parents.
Like, so my first was a full-on arena concert. It was Rage Against the Machine, Wu-Tang Clan, Atari Teenage Riot.
Nice.
It was crazy. Weird mix.
My first show ever was MXPX.
I've
As
seen
a
this so many
13-year-old.
times. Oh man, that's
As a
good one.
13-year-old, there was MXPX and Switchfoot. And Switchfoot was a 3-piece at the time.
Yeah. Do you
They
know
were
that,
opening up for MXPX.
Oh man, that's crazy. You know that Mike from MXPX is now playing in Goldfinger as one of the
That's interesting.
guitars. Yeah, I mean MXPX is still playing, but he's now joined Goldfinger as well.
They just released a single a couple weeks ago.
Goldfinger?
No, MXPX.
MXPX?
Still making. It's funny because as a kid they were just like this crappy like pseudo Christian band, but but they were like what my parents let me listen to. So I was like, I'm gonna try to get away with it, whatever I can. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, they were like this iconic band, and you never realize like your memories are being crowdsourced. Mm-hmm. Like it's everyone's band. It's not your band. But as a kid, you're like, this is my band.
Yeah. Totally true. Totally true. My last question. This is I'm really curious of what you're gonna say to this. If you could create a film, right? Whether it's documentary, a creative film that you want, or a music video for any band, past or present, what would it be? Like, which band would it be, and what kind of film do you think it would be?
Oh man,
it's a hard one. I have.
I think it starts with like, what do we need to know? You know, as this like what? Because like I could say Fugazi, but it's like I'm sure there's like 100 films about Fugazi, and honestly, like, do we need to talk about them anymore? Like, no, we don't need more films about Fugazi. We don't need more.
And that would be
with that.
That would probably be a very political film of some sort as well, going that route.
Yeah, you know what it is like I would have to think through like what would make me feel good. Because I want to feel good. Like I want people to be energized and optimistic from what they're doing. Even though I'm attracted to a lot of like very dark art, it always comes from like that place of like, you know, catharsis, less so than that's my actual viewpoint. So what would make me happy to make, you know, it'd be a really... Oh man, I could give you 20 answers to this because my first instinct was to say Converge.
Okay. Oh.
My first instinct was to interview those guys. We have some mild relationship. They're local, and I know a lot of people who work with those guys. And I just think like Jacob and those guys and like what they've done with God City, the recording studio they own, his art. It would be an interesting film because it would be visually beautiful. They have they have all the credibility because they've just like were those early metalcore guys. But then I thought, I think I would like to do the Deftones.
Interesting.
Because they've gone through so
a lot
much.
Of changes. Yeah.
And like the bass player almost dying or did die. And then, but also think about the Deftones. Like at one point you're like, oh, this new metal band. But they actually never sounded like anyone else.
Right.
And they still don't. And they still sound the same.
Yeah.
And they still are good. And yet they're also still bad. like when you listen to Chino, you're like, well, that's not singing. What are you doing? But I still keep listening to it. So I just find like their story to be really interesting. Their music has like grown on me more and more and more and more. I remember like I didn't like it when I was a kid. Yeah. I thought it was like sellout crap. And now I look back on it and I'm like I know Korn is technically like probably the most influential nu metal band. And I used to hate Korn as a kid. And now I get older and I'm like, I got to give them props.
Oh, you have to give them, 100%.
What they had the guts to do, like as musicians, and like what they were willing to talk about in their music. But I will say, like for me, Deftones were just always there's like a coolness to them. Like they're just cool, and like they're just a cool band, and they're still cool, and all that stuff. So maybe the Deftones. I think like, and I just have never seen that. I haven't really. Maybe there's a million fanfics that I've never seen, but like that would be interesting to me. Is to like. And
would it be documentary? Yeah. Would it be? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Okay. I love documentaries. Documentaries are like one of my very favorite types of cinema because of a good documentary, there are good ones that are like anti-capitalism or pro-capitalism or whatever your worldview is. Like that can be a good documentary. But I think my favorite documentaries just let the subject speak for themselves, and they don't have an agenda, and they just say like, tell me your story. And I want to know their story. I would want to know what Chino like is thinking. Like, why do you sing like that, dude? Like, how did you develop that? Like, when, like, at one point were you like, I should be the lead singer of a band?
Yeah.
You know, like, like everything about what they're doing, I want to know what they're thinking and how they kind of arrived at what they arrived at. But then also, like, that personal journey, how it, like, they maintained artistic output.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what, they started in, like, 89 or something, right?
Yeah,
they're crazy.
Really good answer.
Yeah.
That's I was not expecting that one. That's I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't definitely not expecting that one. So that's a really, really good, surprising answer. That's exciting. So Deftones, if you're listening, you know who to hire.
Well, I mean, there might be like there already is a movie, and I just didn't watch it. That's why I was like, oh, I bet like every fan is gonna be like, there already is. You're not a real fan. I'm like, I never said I was.
Right. Oh man, but either way, even if there is one, it'd be cool for you to do one. That would be great.
I agree. That would be very cool.
Yeah, Jason, it was so awesome to have you and chat about music and videography, photography. I just it's so much fun to talk to people that we have similarities with and to talk about things that not a lot of people are talking about.
And this is what's important.
Visual world,
Scott. Like to me, this is like. Artists have become way too tribal in a lot of on very stupid lines. And what we need to be talking about with each other is our actual art.
Yeah.
Because that will bring people together. Because like when I was growing up, nobody talked about politics. Nobody talked about this stuff. We would go to a show and we would all say, here, this is ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and it wasn't, and like there could be 7 political bands. There could be like an anarchist band and like a Christian band, and they're all playing in the same room, all playing on the same stage. Kids are all getting bloody and messy and sweaty. And it's like, we need those cultural cornerstones that we build relationships on because they humanize each other. And they make us realize that like, we can have differences of opinion and differences of belief, but at the end of the day, we all still like the party.
Yep. So well said. Well, some of us, yeah. Can you share for those? I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but if you can share where listeners can, check out your film business, anywhere else you would like to have them.
Sure. I'll try to keep it brief because we got a lot going on. So if you want to see my personal like luxury wedding filmmaking, Huxley Film, I have a studio, high-end luxury studio brand called Stopgolove, where we're doing some really cool weddings. We have the Wedding Film School YouTube channel and podcast, so you can check us out if you're a wedding filmmaker and you're interested in learning about the art form. And it's very business focused. We talk about making money, being sustainable, and scaling, and of course, the wedding industry, which is a big thing for us. Yeah. And then, of course, we also have a thing called Luma Sites. So if it's a template platform for WordPress and Show It themes, if you head over to lumasites.com, and we sell those as well. So that's what we do.
Amazing. Jason, thank you so much again, and I can't wait for everybody to listen to this.
Thanks. Have a good day, guys.